Thanks to PlayAsia for supporting this video. If you want to support me and the channel and get yourself a 5% discount, use the link in the description and use the coupon code BLUEVITA in order to save yourself a little bit of money. Thanks for your support, enjoy the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out... I gotta do that every time, you can't stop me. So, this is the Switch version of the well-regarded baseball series from Konami, also known as Power Pro Baseball. I got it yesterday, and I've given it a fair bit of time, a few hours. I can't tell you exactly how long. Maybe my profile will have it. Hang on. Yes, I do have like 4 different profiles. No, it won't actually tell me how much I've played it yet. That's a little unfortunate, but this is pretty much exactly as you'd expect. They've ported over a bunch of the familiar modes from the Vita and PlayStation 4 game, and they've also added a couple of new ones. I haven't played very much of the ones that they've ported over. I did give Success Mode and My Life Mode about, I don't know, half an hour to an hour each, just to make sure they're all on the up and up. And as far as I can tell, they're practically no different. I mean, Success Mode is different because it tells a different story, but outside of that, I can say that these two modes are not that different from their usual iteration, and Pennant Mode here is, well, again, I played like 10 minutes of this because it's Pennant Mode, i.e. it's mostly like menu driven and stuff like that, so I do generally have problems with it. So we've also got your regular exhibition mode down here, your 2 new modes here as well, which is treasure mode and home run attack mode, and we'll get to them, but let's just go have a quick look around at everything else first. So, don't know why you're... Wait, nope, I forgot. I'm on the wrong profile. Shit. Yep, that was absolutely the wrong profile. Let's actually go and have a look at the settings menu. We got some basic stuff here. These are your main settings. These are preset settings for how you want your matches to go down. For example, these 2 here. This is innings, for example. I'm not going to bother translating all of these because I've done it so many times before, and these things don't end up having that much use in the modes I play anyway, but they're there if you want to have them. These are your personal settings. Now, your personal settings in this game are actually kind of interesting because they've changed the mechanics up a little bit. They've made it so that the game actually has 4 different difficulty modes now. So you can actually choose between them depending on... how you feel about the game's difficulty just in general, which is nice. Personally, I've been playing on what I think is what they would call the hard difficulty, the 3rd difficulty from the top. And I'm not entirely sure what these settings are here. I have tried translating them, but it still doesn't make that much sense. It seems to imply that those are individual player settings. I'm still not sure how that would work. This is your sound settings. As always, they've got a fair few sound settings that you can change, which is nice. This is your personal player settings for when you do things like go online. I have tried the online play on this one, and it's about the same as the PS4 and Vita versions. The netcode is good, but it has this annoying tendency to slow down and speed up depending on who's batting. At least I think that's what the game determines it by. And generally, if you are outside of the same continent, it'll be somewhere between okay and unplayable without any particular amount of warnings. So you should be aware of that. If you're on the same continent, you'll probably be fine, but considering this is a Japanese game, unless you and your friend are playing like a copy of it over the internet somehow, you've managed to figure out a way to do it, then it's probably not going to be good for you. That is, I believe, uploading cloud saves? I think it's weird. It doesn't seem to work for me. And we've also got this here, which is just your general, they'll just tell you what everything does. And that's your credit screen. Very simple setting screen this time around. So here you've got your roster, as always, which lists all your player-created characters. Here's the thing, you can't actually create characters as easily in this one. There's no success special, which is that weird board game that would throw out a new player within 10 minutes. In order to actually get a full-on new player, you need to go through either success mode or my life mode. and then you can put them into your custom teams. And this one down here is your custom teams, in which you can then take them into My Life or Pennant mode, either as, you know, you play as a custom player you took out of success into My Life, or you make a team of My Life players and you can put them through a Pennant game, you know, stuff like that, right? You got your training mode here, which is absolutely recommended if you've never played the game before. This is your custom teams, as I said before, and this is an encyclopedia that shows you all the terms related to the game. As you can see here, there's an absolute ton of them, and there is no point even trying. It would be really nice if, like, the Switch got fan translation patches. I'm aware that the Switch has homebrew now, but it would be great to have a fan translation patch just work through all these menus. Even if they just didn't touch the, even if they didn't just touch, like, the story in Pennant mode or whatever, it would still be nice to have. So, I've spent enough time rambling, so let's go and talk about the main mode of the game. We'll take a look at all the other modes if we've got time, but I'm kind of on a time limit here. So this is Treasure Mode. Treasure Mode is their new casual-friendly mode. I say Success and My Life and Pennant aren't casual-friendly, and they kind of aren't, they kind of are. We'll get into why, but this is what Treasure Mode is. I should probably pull up my translation assist. Hold on. I translated some of the menus here and stuff, but basically this should be the team development screen. Yes, it is, and this should be your item list. Yes, it is, right. So there's something I actually really quickly want to do that I've gone and completely forgotten about because I'm an idiot. We all know this already. The game's actually got amiibo compatibility. So the way it works is every few hours you can put an amiibo down. This is going to be the amiibo card. Oh, it's already been used. Whoops, I guess I can't actually do it this time around. It actually gives you bonus items for this mode. Everything revolves around Treasure Mode this time around. If you're playing the other modes for long enough, you will get items for this mode. So if you go into My Life and play that for an hour, save your game and come back out, they'll chuck in a few items for you. It makes perfect sense. So this mode here is actually kind of interesting. You can actually choose whether or not you want to play with up to 4 people. I assume they're all on the same team, working together to help you actually win. So that's kind of nice. We've got 4 difficulty options here and my settings. I believe this is the only time where it really takes effect, but I've been wrong about that, so don't quote me on it. Again, I am translating some of this, but I might get some stuff wrong just on the basis of, you know, not actually knowing these games real well. Hang on. I'm trying to find the bloody file. Where is it? Text file. Power Pro Switch. There we go. Right, so yeah, this is your sense of difficulties. I'm playing on the hard difficulty. And the game's got 3 cups. I don't know if it goes any further than this, because I haven't gone up to the Dream Cup yet, and there's a good reason for that. Here's the thing. Treasure is kind of an RPG, where you're constantly building up your team and using them to get higher in the standings. And Gold Cup is so far removed from Silver Cup that you actually have to do some grinding in the Silver Cup in order to stand a chance in the Gold Cup. And I'm going to take the opportunity to explain to you why that is. You can see down at the bottom right there that my team is currently rated at 2,775 BP, and these teams here are 28 and 2900 respectively. Now, I can play one of these and we'll be roughly equal, but if we are going up against, a team, for example, in the Gold Cup that's at like 3,800 or 4,000 BP, for example, they're going to floor me, because this game works the same way that Power Pro Festival does in the Vita games, where most of the match is simulated and you're given control at a very specific set of time frames. So that's going to kind of suck, in all honesty. So there are a few things you can do here, like give them equipment and stuff like that, but we're not going to worry about that just at this moment. We're going to hop in and actually play the game. At least for a little bit. The game doesn't give me, you won't get very many options to actually play, because again, it simulates most of the match, but you go and have a look anyway. And before you ask, yes, you are locked into playing as the treasures. You can go and customize their look as in the physical players look, but you can't actually customize the uniform, which I'm a little bit disappointed by. The actual teams you go up against are the actual Japanese Baseball League teams, the NPB, so right now we're fighting the Buffaloes. So it's going to simulate some of the match, and it's going to let me on as a pitch. Cool. So in case you didn't know, this is absolutely a baseball game, and for those of you who aren't familiar with this, because you haven't seen any of my other videos on it, I actually really like the gameplay in these games because it's arcadey, but it's complex, and that is the best thing about it. Because it gives you a lot to learn and a lot to play with. Even the most simple of play in this game is actually really engaging, and I really like it for that. Even little arcadey things like hammering the L and R buttons to make your dude run faster doesn't really get in the way of the fact that the baseball simulation in these games is actually really deep. And it's kind of impressive just how nice it just feels to play. Pitching in this game was never something I actually liked. I think it... Oh boy. No, that's a foul. Pitching in this game was never something I actually liked for a multitude of reasons. I've been trying to figure out how to turn on the proper pitching. I think it might be the highest difficulty. It might be locked to that. I'm going to have to give that another shot later. But yeah, basically... Oh, come on. You guys really didn't start... Yep. Okay, that's fine. I still got to run out of it after the auto simulation kicked in, so I'll take it. But yes, the actual simulation of the baseball is actually really good. They do a great job of emulating the sport. The physics feel pretty on point. For a game that's so cartoony, you wouldn't expect it, in all honesty. But the game itself has some good physics behind it. Like, that was a pretty good hit. It's kind of hard to explain without you actually coming in and giving the game a shot, but just the overall physics of hitting the ball, pitching the ball, and generally throwing it all work about as well as you would hope. And the last game I played in this series was the 2018 version for Vita. I haven't noticed any major changes to the gameplay because they have this tendency to quote-unquote rebalance the game in between iterations of it. Nope, I completely missed all three of them there. That was unfortunate. Don't get the run for that one. Bang again, that's good. Missed. Oh no. Yep, screwed that one. Hit it low and he managed to get it, because of course he did. The replays are really fancy. The controls are very simple. When you're pitching, is just pick a direction and chuck it. When you're batting, is just use the analog stick's natural range of motion in order to actually get the hitting cursor in the right place. You can also turn on a digital mode that only that'll move the cursor like up, down, left, right, like a digital. What's the word I'm looking for? You can also turn on a mode where it'll move it just like, not without being relevant to the position on the crosshair, on the analog stick, but just in a flat 2D plane, which is nice. It's nice that the option is there. That was a game of treasures mode right there. There's my MVPs. I get some keys and I can use them to unlock some balls. Those balls give me items, which I can then introduce to my dudes. I have to pick another game before it lets me through, though. In fact, you can't actually leave. It's kind of arcadey in that sense. We'll come back to that later. We'll go and play some more. Just so you can get more gameplay in before I really start digging into the menus and shit. But yeah, the controls are really simple. As I said, you just move the analog stick and use the B button to hit the ball. In this case, you can also use the A button if you like to do a bunt. And once you've hit the ball, you just hammer the L and R buttons to move around. Pitching is a little different. If you're on the regular style pitching, or the, if you're on this style of pitching, oh, you bastard. If you're on the regular style of pitching, you just select a pitch, hold it in the right place and throw, but this also has the tendency to come out inaccurate because it's the easier kind of pitching. There is also a kind of pitching that is, it's a two press, so you kind of have to do it like a shot in golf, where the second push will need to be accurately timed to determine how well you do it. That kind of sucks for me. The fielding controls are also pretty simple. It's kind of nice actually, just how simple they are. Because the game actually teaches you them, as you can see there. It gives you these little prompts on what button to press in order to actually get the ball to like the place that you want to get it to. The controls are really simple. If it ends up in the outfield, you press the R button, and it will send it back to an infielder to send it to a base. Otherwise, you just press one of the base buttons, and it will send it to that particular base. That was a miss. You can do power hits in this by pressing the R button, and of course power hits will go further, but if you're an idiot like me, you'll send it right into a fielder like that, and we'll move on right to the next thing. And of course the game does have an in-depth tutorial mode because they just ripped it from the 2018 version, so it's not like you can't just go there and practice as much as you damn well please. Which, to be fair, in this game's case, I would fully recommend that you do that because that is really something you do need to know. Oh hey, it's a bonus challenge. God, I swung for that. Why do I swing for that? I'm an idiot. Oh, is he actually going to walk me? Yep, I just got walked. Oh, come on! That didn't count for the challenge. Usually it means like hit the ball, get someone to a certain base. Something along those lines. But he balled me, dude. Come on, you gotta give me the... Oh. Well, they give you those from time to time. If you successfully manage to do the challenge, you get the ball to unlock later on. Oh, come on, mate. There we go. Controlling fielders is actually pretty simple. You use the Y button to move an individual person, the X button to make everyone just move, and the A button to make people go back, along with movements on the analog stick for the Y and the A buttons respectively. Okay, we're on the 9th inning and I'm down, so they're going to give me the entire inning to actually try and get a win. Although it might not end up mattering because there was one time I played a treasure game and I ended up there was one time I ended up playing a treasure game where I was down, but I ended up being like 2 runs ahead. But then the other team got the final inning, and when they got the final inning, they got like 5 runs. They got 5 runs from the final inning, and it was enough to make me completely lose. That legitimately pissed me off. Why wouldn't it? It's way worse about this shit than, it's way worse about the auto-generated computer shit than Power Pro Festival ever was, for multiple reasons, and we'll get to that right now, because since I lost, it's going to kick me back out to the menu. I do at least get 1 key to unlock 1 shitty item, which is a which is a catcher's mitt that actually reduces one of my stats, which means it's almost useless. That's kind of frustrating. So here's the point of treasure mode. You play through those over and over again in order to get the items in order to actually upgrade your dudes. So for example, if we go to this menu here, we can see a bunch of my dudes. And that first number there determines how many power-ups they are able to take. And there is a maximum. I don't know if there is a way to undo this, but if there is, I'm not aware of it yet. So if we pick one of my batters, for example, and go to upgrade his stuff, it'll automatically put me on the screen that has items that are relevant to his thing. And these items will either give you stat boosts or skill boosts. Or, I don't know if they're skills or traits. We'll get into how they work shortly if you've never actually seen what this means. So, if I give this guy 2 items here, you can see that some of his stats go up, but some of them will also go down. That's due to the way some power-ups work. Some of them will just detract stats because that's how they work. And if I apply them, it upgrades his stats, and if I go back, we can see that it upgrades my BP count. Now, notably, as far as I can tell, there don't appear to be any microtransactions for actually buying items, whether they be the upgrade items or the equipment. And the equipment is like the same. It all contains certain boosts and detractions. But I don't see any point of actually applying this item here, because if I do, it's probably going to take away an point. Yeah, see? Oh, well, that boost is actually pretty good. I might as well leave it on. It's not like I've got anything else to put on that guy anyway. But yeah, as you can see, certain items will give you certain boosts, and some items will also give you certain detractions. It will also upgrade your BP. You can also change the starting lineup, so you can change their position. So it's like a first baseman, third baseman, second baseman, initial pitcher, shortstop, and your different outfielders. And you've also got helpers, but I haven't actually unlocked any of them yet. I'm guessing that's something you get when you start beating the Gold Cup. And this is your team management screen where you can go see their stats and change their look and stuff like that if that's what you want to do. That is pretty much the entire mode. That's the thing. The bad thing about treasure mode is that it's a grind. As far as I can tell, it's entirely meant to be a grind, because just for the purpose of demonstration, let's go and just pick a difficulty and go to the Gold Cup. As you can see here, these guys are 1000 BP above my current standing. So if I want to play this, I need to upgrade my guys a lot, because the individual stats of all the team here can actually really screw me. The individual stats of those teams can really screw me if I decide to play them, because while I might be able to do alright when I'm in control of the actual game, the simulation side of things will start to take over, and they will just floor me when I can't control it. And that's kind of the annoying thing about the treasure mode. It's more or less just a pointless grind through the lower cups over and over again until you get the points that you need. And the thing is, some of these items are... Sorry, wrong screen. Some of these items are different rarities. So you can see here, these are all the items I've got right now. Like all these pitcher items here, or outfielder items here, those are all C rank. And it seems that the ranker items that you get is completely random, and there doesn't seem to be any way to recycle items into something more useful. So if I select both of these, for example, I think this just throws them away. Yeah, it just gets rid of them. There doesn't seem to be any way to, like, fuse them together or put them up into a higher quality item. So you just have to rely on the roll of the dice in order to get an actually good item. And considering there seems to be some kind of limitation on how many items you can put on one particular character, it means that you kind of want to be waiting for the higher quality items so that you aren't completely wasting your time. I don't know if you end up in a position where you can reset their unlocks or, like, prestige them or whatever. I mean, I've got one dude here who I've already maxed out. Oh. This is apparently the cups that he's in. Huh? Oh. Oh, that's kind of neat. A little bit extra stat boost. I didn't realize you could do that. Still, it'll probably end up being a grind, though, so... still, that's kind of nice to know that it's there. But yeah, as far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any way to, like, prestige a dude once you get into a certain level. Maybe once you start winning, like, the Gold Cup or something, they might give you a little option there, but from what I can tell, it's basically just a grind against particularly easy stuff in order to get to the point where you can actually take on the hard stuff, and then I imagine the grind will get even worse once you get to the higher on stuff, like the Gold Cup or the Rainbow Cup, whatever its name was. And that kind of frustrates me, because I was hoping for something a little different. I was hoping for something that would give you a, you know, just give you a little bit more variety. I like the Power Pro Festival, because the way it worked, it was kind of like an arcade game, or even like a roguelike, if you want to get really, like, modern day gamer about it, where you go through every single time, you're constantly building up your team, so you know who's good at what. You get a different composition every time, so at least there's a little bit of variety going on. And you can go up against a lot of different kinds of teams. In this game, you only end up going against a few teams with relatively boring people behind them. I know some people will probably say that's heresy because you're going up against actual baseball players, but just hear me out here. In Power Pro Festival, you actually went up against, like, different kinds of teams with, like, interesting characters behind them. And you always look at them and think, I wonder what that guy's good at. I'd like to have him on my team. And there was a reason to actually excel in order to actually try. Because as far as I can tell, outside of, like, weird little challenges you'll get sometimes between matches, you don't actually get that much in the way of... You don't actually get that much in the way of motivation to really try and excel. Because in the other games, excelling would actually get you some extra bonuses. In this game, it doesn't seem to do so much. So yeah, treasure mode just seems to be an outright grind more than anything else. Sure, it might help out if you go and play some of the other modes for a while in order to actually unlock, like, extra items for them, but yeah, it's not particularly great in my personal opinion. With that said, let's go play Home Run Attack. A little bit of a strange mode going on here. I'm just gonna pay no attention to the fact that there's a guy with a noodle ball on his head right there. So, Home Run Attack is actually really simple. The idea behind it, and this is just going to demonstrate, this option here is just digital or analog mode. I'm going to put it on digital mode for the purpose of demonstration. Here's my high scoreboard. As you can see, I've done mostly okay. Like this one here, 10,384. It's a pretty decent score in my personal opinion. But yeah, Home Run Attack is exactly what it sounds like. You get 10 attempts to do home runs. The more distance you get, the more points you get. If you get foul balls and stuff like that, it will eventually, like, bring your score down. You can choose any player you like, including OB players. And this is the main way you unlock OB players. You do repeated rounds of Home Run Attack. Like, a lot of rounds of Home Run Attack. It's kind of silly, actually. And OB players are just players that aren't actually in any particular team or anything. And they usually also end up being really good, like, for some reason. They usually end up being fantastic. It's a little bit weird. I'm just looking for a player who might be particularly good that isn't, like, the fatso, but I don't think I've got a choice in this one. What about the Dana Bay Stars? They're my usual go-to team. Give me someone good. No, they just kept worse down the bottom. Not great. We'll just pick this guy. I don't know who it is. We'll just pick him. So we get to pick a stadium and a time. So we'll do it cloudy at nighttime, because why not? It doesn't really affect the game that much unless it's like raining. Score attack. Oh god, still analog. Bollocks. Damn it. I got the translation wrong because I'm an idiot. So yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. He throws balls, you hit them. If I can actually hit one well enough, I might actually get a home run. I think I'm hitting them a bit too high. I need to hit a bit lower. Can I change, like, to digital mode from here? I can. Thank God. So this is digital mode. There we go. Much better. Yep, you get time points for a home run because there's plenty of distance in there. Well, you know, better if I didn't outright miss. That would be nice. Would be nice, wouldn't it? There we go. again, getting foul balls will actually take points away from you, and getting home runs in a chain will also give you bonus points. So, for example, if this makes it out, damn it, it didn't make it out. You generally get half the points again as like a bonus for hitting a chain. And the better you do, the harder the balls get to hit. They move them around a little bit and make it a little bit more difficult. So getting like 10 home runs in a row is not easy. I didn't do particularly great there, but I'm just going to say right now it's not easy. Yeah, 4,386. I didn't do too well, and so my guy's upset about it, because of course he is. Look at all the people in the background. Look at them, they're cute. So yeah, I get an item there, but it's an F grade, and honestly it should be a G grade, because it gave me a negative trait, and that is, like, why would you bother? Why would you even bother? You don't give out negative traits to people willingly. Right, so I'm going to take the opportunity to explain to you the overall mechanics of the players, because, well, that's just how I roll. So, this is the roster screen, and we can go and look up any particular player that we like. So, we can see here that we have a bunch of different players, each with their own stats. So, we'll start with a batter. This is the third baseman for the SoftBank Hawks. I picked the Hawks, didn't I? Yeah, SoftBank Hawks, as I thought. Yeah, this is the third baseman for the SoftBank Hawks. And these are all his stats. Since he's a batter, he's got plenty of stats to go through, and I will list them from top to bottom, starting from the arrow that's pointing up. That's the angle. That's how straight he can hit the balls once he hits them. Very important stat. Recommended that you upgrade that pretty much immediately. Then you've got power, which is how hard he can hit it. Meat, which is how big his cursor is for hitting the ball. Running, which is his running speed. Throwing, which is how fast he throws the ball as a fielder. Defense, which is just an overall... defense and catching, which are just an overall status of, you know, how well he defends. You've also got some extra skills over here. I don't know what these are or what they translate to. You can translate them there if you like, but those are just like more basic skills. And then you've got traits. And traits will give you both positive and negative deterrence. So the one trait that I remember off the top of my head, for example, is that there's a trait that can make your meat go down, which is give you a smaller hit cursor for your baseball bat, if you are the third person up. This can go for a ton of different things. Like, if the bases are loaded, you can get a detriment or a positive boost. You know, there are all sorts of traits. There are hundreds of traits in the game, and they are all sorts of, like, little things like that. And more than give anyone a precise advantage or disadvantage, they are more like giving players an individual personality. Like how good they are at certain things against other things, you know? Combine that with your stats, and it's actually a really deep system. And it works the same way for pitching, too. So if I go back up to one of our pitchers here, for example, we can go to the pitcher tab here, and you can see a few things. You've got his individual stats and traits here. His stats are his pitch speed, his control, and his stamina. And then you've also got his individual throws. You can upgrade your individual throw directions, and you can also do that you can also get yourself extra throws in those directions. So that's what those lines down there mean. So he's got his fastball, he's got his ball that curves to the left, and he's got his 2 drop shots right there that he can swap between while he's pitching. And he's also got some general stats over here, like his name, his birthday, his, you know, just general stuff along those lines, including some equipment, which is relevant. And I believe this here is just your fielder stats. No, this isn't his fielder stats, sorry, this is AI stats. So you can actually give people the some AI perks that'll determine how they get played when the AI takes control of them, which is actually a really neat concept. So yeah, you can do that. And the way this series has always been popular is that they give you modes that are designed around the idea of creating players. So this is success mode, for example. I'm just going to continue from my guy that I've got going here. This isn't very far in the game, but it should give you an idea of what it's like. So this is kind of like a training simulator. So you pick for him to do particular things. So, for example, I can just pick him to do some training there, and it'll increase his relationship with his friends, like Yabe-san there. You can also do things like find girlfriends and go out on the town and stuff like that, you know? It's a visual novel, more or less. There isn't actually very much baseball to be played. I played this mode for like 45 minutes to an hour, just constantly skipping through all the Japanese text and stuff like that. There's no voiceovers or anything, so I'm not skipping anything by just going through these at a relatively high speed. You do get decisions to make from time to time, and I usually just wing it, because the Google Translate app, while it's usually good at giving you things like straight up, there are things that, like decisions that it's hard to know the context for without translating everything. We can go to the love option here to actually call up a girlfriend and say hi. And that'll usually improve your relationship with them. You can also do things like go out on dates. And depending on the decisions you make while you're there, you'll get an improvement on your relationship with them. I did get an improvement there. Is that a father? Well, no, I think this might just be an unrelated event. Those happen from time to time. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of events and actually a lot of stuff to do. It's just a shame it's all entirely in Japanese. Yes, I am being followed around by one of the giant girls. That happens from time to time. It's as weird as it looks, trust me. When you level up, you actually get points, and you can invest these points into whatever you please. So you can see here, these will actually improve your base stats. This guy is a first baseman, so he needs to improve his batting stats and his fielding stats most of all. And there are some AI stuff and things down here. And you can also buy your individual skills if you've got the points for them. In these modes, you tend to get the negative traits via events that happen in games, if you're wondering about that. And these are all your AI skills over on the rightmost tab here. I'm not going to bother translating what they all do, but basically it should make sense. Stay on this tab if you want to upgrade your batter stats, if you want your batter skills here, your pitcher skills here, and your AI skills there, and your actual pitching stuff here if you're a pitcher. At the end of the mode, your character will be exported to a custom character who you can then edit or take on into any of the other modes, which I will take some time to demonstrate. I just walked away from my girlfriend, which made me from a girlfriend, I should say, which made me lose some relationship with her. You can also check your relationships with other characters here. Everyone else is on your team and all that. Yamaoka is apparently this guy's name. I mean, he's Power Pro-kun, that's what he looks like, but that's apparently the name they picked, and some other settings and stuff here that we won't worry too much about, because, as I said, I'm kind of running a little low on time, and this is still going to be a bloody hour-long Power Pro video, one way or another, so it's not like I can help it. But yeah, that was Success Mode. It is basically just a visual novel used to build up characters. I would like to know the story, but of course, there's just nothing you can really do about that one. It's entirely in Japanese game. Mime Life mode is a similar sort of thing. The way this works is you can pick either a professional, you can pick one of the 12 teams, pick a player, and then go through his life for 30 or so years, or you can make a custom character and take them through the game for 30 or so years, because 30 years is the inbuilt limit, and they bring in new players and stuff as time goes on, and you can upgrade your characters, send them out on the town as well to do things like, you know, as obviously, fall in love, buy new equipment, experience events, try and improve your character and stuff like that. However, it does work a little bit differently in that you can actually play games. So the way this works is that they will play the game mostly without your involvement. Hi Dan. They will play the game mostly without your involvement, and once they do, they will eventually bring me on. You can just see how it's fast speeding it. There's my guy with the cocking the bat like a fucking gun. and I hit the ball successfully. And I'm just going to hammer the L and R buttons. Sometimes they will, you do have control over him, by the way, so I could have sent him up to second base if I wanted to, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. But yeah, now another player will take their turn and I get to control him. You can also play in a, or at least I think it's still there, you can play in a unique mode where the camera is always focused on your player. Run back, run back, run back, run back. I'm still safe, okay. Swing and a miss there, buddy. Come on. There. Oh, no, that was a foul. I might not even get to do anything. They might just strike out. I won't be able to actually move further than first base. At least I actually got no negatory nada. Yeah, that was probably going to be a failure either way. I get another shot. Unfortunately, one of my deterrents is working against me and making me a slight bit worse. Player condition is also a thing that can make it slightly worse, and yeah, just straight into his waiting arms. Thankfully, I did actually get a hit in there, so while we lost, at least I won't get too massive of a blunder for it, because my life does track a lot of things. It'll track your batting average, it'll track how many fans you have. So yeah, I did alright. So I got a hit, so I got some fans for it, which is good. We do have a mission that they pop up from time to time. They're usually given to you by your buddies. It's just things like, you know, get a few hits, do so well. This here, you can call people, call your girlfriend. I don't know what this does. And you can do things like go out on the town as well, and do things like visit restaurants, equipment shops, stuff like that. Go to events, buy new equipment, stuff like that, right? So I can choose to go to a restaurant just because I feel like it. Spend a little bit of money. That actually helps my condition a little bit. However, one thing you will need to get used to in this game is the slow progress of it, because as you can see, it goes at a very predetermined rate. So I can actually select to have the AI play for me here. These like 6 options all do different things. So if I just select this, no, that's multiplayer. Because apparently you can play all these modes in multiplayer now. So let's select the second option and see what it does. There's this mode that lets you play in like an up-close and personal camera view that I actually like. I just can't remember exactly how to get to it. I wonder if it's this option. I know it was in the previous games. Probably could have hit that, but no big deal, no drama. That vibrating of the hitting cursor there, that isn't me, that's my Switch's analog stick refusing to stay still. Yeah, this is the yeah, that's the, they call it like a Yakyuu camera or something, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I didn't realize I was fielding. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm still a first baseman. Yes, I put the monocle on purpose because I like the monocle. And no, I did not make my number in the game 69 on purpose. Oh man, that was just what was assigned to me. I'm just like, screw it, roll with it. But yeah, that was the Yakyuu camera. Unfortunately, I didn't do too well there, but yeah, I lost a few fans for it. That's your fan count on the bottom right. The number next to it is the amount of money you have. You get the general idea. The thing about this mode though is the training. And as you can see, you can train all of your stats individually. And if I select train like weights, for example, you can see that it goes up very small. It's a very small amount. So yes, it takes you a very long time to actually get anywhere in this game. Because, in this mode at least, because it takes a bloody long time. I believe if I select, was it that option? I think that just simulates the entire game and means I don't actually have to sit through it. However, this also means leaving the personal capabilities of your player up to the AI. So, yeah. Generally, unless you've invested some time into getting some proper, skills, you'll generally need to worry about how the AI handles your player. Apparently I did manage to get a hit during the AI simulation, so I got some fans for it. Yeah, mission clear. They'll usually do something for me, like give me stats or a little bit of a boost to my relationship with that guy, you know, stuff like that. And in both success mode and my life mode, you have energy meters, so you have to sleep in order to prevent yourself from getting injured and all that. And you've got things like awards and stuff that it tracks, and you can choose how you choose to train, and you can see your relationships with everyone, of course, and some awards like getting a home run and stuff like that, you know, stuff like that, right? Stuff to give the mode a little bit of depth and intrigue. I don't mind this mode myself, I never have time to actually play it because it's so bloody long. But yeah, we're gonna save the file and go back to the main menu. See, got an item for that. It's a crappy item, but it's an item nonetheless. And of course, we've got the Pennant Race. Tracks your money, tracks your fans, tracks the entire lead up to the two leagues in the Japanese baseball league, the NPB, going up against each other in like their equivalent of the World Series. They give you tons of like help screens and all that if you need them. You can see the individual condition of all the players and what they're like. You've got tons of different menus and stuff to trade people out and stuff like that. I haven't even tried to dig into this because the menus are very complex, full of stuff that's kind of hard to translate because, you know, Google Translate app kind of sucks and stuff like that. You've got all of this stuff to do, so, you know, I haven't tried to dig into this mode, just know that it's pretty complex and you'll probably be satisfied if you can actually read the goddamn language. I apologize if that wasn't in-depth enough for you, but honestly, I don't understand it, and I don't even want to try digging into it, because I just, yeah. And of course, we've got the Versus menu, which lets you practice things like hitting, defending, pitching, and then you've just got modes which are like, you know, you can just practice as much as you damn well please, which is nice. I think we're going to do that just to end the video off on, because I've showed you all the other modes. Oh. That's a 1-player or a 2-player. That's the online mode there, by the way. And these are the 2 modes where you just sit around and watch. Oh yeah, this is the fight against another team mode. So, yeah, Dana Bay Stars versus SoftBank Hawks? Sure, why not? And we can change things like that. Like their team setup, our team setup, and all that sort of thing. The stadium that we're in. You know, all the basic stuff. There are some minor improvements they've made to the games, over the last couple of years. Like, I appreciate things like having a little bit of a description of the individual players when their, like, replay cam comes on. That's a little bit of a nice feature to have. I appreciate if you send the ball high. I appreciate that if you send the ball, like, really high, if the other team sends the ball really high and you're controlling the fielders, you have a little arrow that points towards where the ball is coming down, so you don't get confused as to where it is, like, off screen. And since I'm playing on hard mode, it appears that I don't get to see where the ball is about to come in, which is kind of annoying, but we'll see if I can actually hit something. Nope, almost did, but missed. As you can see, that got one of this guy's demerits kicked in, where it was on 2 outs, So he got a little bit of a downgrade to his batting capability. So now we get to pitch with this guy. So you can see the more complex style of pitching here, where you have to do it on a specific timing. And I appear to be terrible at that timing because I don't have much practice with this pitching type. And of course, the lower... Damn it. Of course, the lower their stamina gets, the harder it'll be to hit the more default pitches. Yeah, all the assists have been turned off because I'm playing on the highest difficulty. If you feel like playing it that way. We can also choose to let the computer player take over for certain things in the settings menu, I think. I don't know if we can do it mid-game, but let's see if we can do it anyway. Maybe that's how you do it? No, I think I was in the wrong menu. I'd love to see a fan translation for these, for at least one version of this game someday. Nope, screwed up the fastball on that one. Oh, great. There are also, of course, things like injuries and broken bats and stuff like that that can happen as well. Wow, I really can't pitch with this system. Was it... Okay, so it does simulate stuff. Interesting. Oh, but apparently I lost. Of course, replays and stuff like that. Yeah, I lost. I know. Apparently we only decided to play 3 innings, but that is what I had my settings set to, so there you go. So yeah, that was a quick look at everything in the Switch version of Jikkyou Powerful Pro Yakyuu. I still like it. I still think it's a good baseball game, but I have to admit I'm kind of disappointed with this version. I was hoping for something a little bit more in-depth for the new mode than Treasure was. Home Run is kind of nice, and there is an extra mode that I didn't show off there, which is basically you and 3 other players competing for the highest score while also getting little pickups to influence the other players' attempts at getting home runs. But, I mean, other than that, you've seen pretty much everything the game has, and Success Mode and My Life Mode are basically the same as they've always been, at least as someone who doesn't have any Japanese language experience. Same thing with Pennant. The online code hasn't gotten any better, but to be fair, there is a point where I can say, you know, it'll probably work if it's on the same continent, and that's fine. And Treasure Mode being a grind just makes this version a little bit, personally, just a little bit boring to me. I have no real reason to come back to it. I can go and play the 2018 Vita version and still have things like the Power Pro Festival, the live scenario mode, although that's going to be gone by the time they decide to bring out Power Pro 2020, which will kind of suck. And just, yeah. I've got these 3 modes up here in the Vita version, along with a few others, and this one mode here just isn't personally that interesting to me because it's just a grind. It's still not the worst intro to Power Pro Baseball as far as they go, but I mean, if you're looking for a recommendation, I'd still recommend the PS4 or the Vita 2018 version. I wonder if, I mean, like, now that they've got the engine ported, they're probably going to port over Power Pro 2020 to the Switch. And I'll probably end up picking it up on the Switch instead of like the PS4, because at least this version will still be portable, right? But, yeah. At least it's promising. It's a promising start. It doesn't even have microtransactions for the one mode that you would expect to have microtransactions. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, would I recommend it? If you've got a PS4 or a Vita, I'd probably tell you to go and get their versions instead. But if you've only got a Switch and you're looking for an introduction to this series, this isn't the worst in the world. I just wish their main mode was better. I mean, if this mode here was just like Power Pro Festival 3, I would probably be happy to recommend this game to people who are just coming in. Obviously, if you're a fan of the series, you've probably picked it up already. So yeah, there you go. 55 minutes. This is probably my shortest Power Pro video ever, so there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.